In 2024, Final Fantasy XIV enters into its 11th year of service as a theme park MMO, and its 14th year since it first released. So whether you've been here since the beginning like myself, or you're thinking about stepping into this world for the first time, allow me to be your illustrious guide to let you know, is Final Fantasy XIV worth playing in 2024? First, let's start with the basics that every prospective player should know first. This is a free-to-play subscription MMORPG, and when I say free-to-play, that's because it has one of the most insane free trials that I've ever seen in any video game to date. You can play this game for free, which gets you A Realm Reborn, Heavensward, and Stormblood as expansions. And this also alludes that if you do not want to subscribe to this game in the future, you can just kind of wait and they'll continue to add in these expansions so that everybody can experience the story of Final Fantasy XIV. But the one thing I will point out is buying the game can actually be a bit of a challenge, but picking up the complete edition, if you're like shopping around for that, is really a good option. Or if you actually already own the base game, aka A Realm Reborn, which actually I believe comes bundled with Heavensward anyway, maybe even Stormblood now. Picking up the latest expansion, in this case Endwalker and soon to be Dawn Trail, that will actually give you all the previous expansions included. So you don't have to buy them a la carte, you just buy the most current expansion and all the content that came before it is included. If you do buy the game, like I said, there is a subscription that becomes required as soon as you hand Square Enix money. So I would say if you are just starting out, welcome in Xbox players to Final Fantasy XIV. They get to finally enjoy this game. Start with the free trial. It is truly a great deal because it doesn't ask anything of you. And then when you're ready to fully commit, you can do so and you'll have a really good time. So what kind of game is this? We just talked more about the monetization than anything else, but the core of Final Fantasy XIV is what I define as an RPG MMO. This is set up like a theme park MMO, but in this case, the O in MMO really stands for optional. You can choose to engage with the multiplayer aspect of this game if you want, but you should really kind of consider this a single player Final Fantasy game that just happens to be set in an online world. You can solo most of the game itself, and if you choose to engage with other players, whether you want to do that rarely or if you want to just go full multiplayer, the game will accommodate you in this case. Now, there is one caveat to this. Weird mixed parties do not currently or are currently not supported in the game. What I mean by this is that it has a great option if you're solo, and if you've got 4 people that you want to play with, aka you and 3 others, or up to 8, and then you can kind of scale up from there. If you're a 2-man or a 3-man, you're going to find yourself in some times where you have to pull in other players, or you have to just go it alone and thus be separated from your friends. I hope that at some point in the future, this minor annoyance will actually be addressed. That's the feedback that I give them each and every year. So beyond that, you're going to find yourself in a world-class Final Fantasy game and a world-class Final Fantasy story. Most of the cutscenes are voice acted, and more voice acting actually comes in later in the game. So if you're just starting out with A Realm Reborn, note that there's a lot to unpack, but don't worry about it. Focusing in on the main quests, which come with the art graphic in the quest title, will give you the most detail to the main story. And that way, if you're not really truly yet into the story, you can always come back and play through it via the new Game Plus option in the game itself. So if you find yourself wanting to just skip ahead, but then later regretting that decision, well, no worries. It actually is, you can undo it and you can still experience the story as if it was your first time playing through it, which is, I think, a really cool option for a lot of players. The story is paramount. If you're thinking about being a content creator, if you're thinking about streaming it, or if you are a content creator and a streamer and this is your time playing through it, I would highly recommend you stream this game because it's going to get a lot of attention. People in this community love to watch people's first time playthroughs of the game and the story, and you won't regret it. Just note though, as soon as you finish the story, you might not necessarily be able to go full time if that's what your aspirational goals were, because they will move on to the next content creator or wannabe content creator who are stepping into the arena. So the big question, why should you start or why should you return in 2024? First and foremost, this is a big year. It's got big goals associated with it. New expansion Dawn Trail is going to be dropping early part of summer 2024, and that isn't to say that there's not going to be a lot of hype going into it. There's going to be a huge amount of players who return pre-expansion to get caught up of the story and to be ready to step into Dawn Trail on day one. This hype and this marketing will be felt all throughout the internet, so there's no reason not to be excited when looking forward to a Final Fantasy XIV expansion. Now, this also includes new jobs, new stories, new zones, but also the new platform. Again, like I said, welcome in Xbox players. We're really glad to have you here, and it's a thrill to finally have Xbox on the Final Fantasy XIV train. It's been a long time coming. I've been advocating for it this entire time, so here we are. We did it. But the work is yet to be done. We still got to fight for cloud rights and so much more. So hopefully we'll see Final Fantasy XIV be supported on GeForce Now as a platform, as a service. I think that would be wonderful. Now, expansion years are actually a lot of fun. Like I said, what you end up doing, and this kind of ties back into the monetization question. Let's say you do want to play, but you don't feel like you want to be subscribed to another subscription service for years. There's no punishment. You can always stop your subscription. You can return at any point in time. It's a really good deal. In fact, Final Fantasy XIV encourages players to take breaks, especially when they're playing in the long run. And traditionally, what we end up seeing is players will finish the expansion. Then they'll go on a 2-year break, and then they'll come back pre-next expansion, get caught up, and then play the expansion. And that is a very healthy way to enjoy Final Fantasy XIV. That's how I've shifted my plan for Final Fantasy XIV, to go into that playing it like Yoshi P has designed it to be played occasionally. And I'm very excited. And if you are considering returning, note that you're not going to be punished for coming back in. This game is not going to ask you to no life it for any stretch of the imagination. You literally get to step back into the world, pick up where you left off. You're going to get boosted with gear and different rewards within the game itself, so that way you can get caught up and you can step into the latest content that they have crafted for you. Final Fantasy XIV also delivers content so consistently, you can actually hear some of the veteran players frustratedly gripe about this, because it's so well tuned. You will be able to predict patch dates like maybe a year in advance. In fact, if you guys follow my friend Gaming Kinda, he puts out his spreadsheet streams, and he puts out his spreadsheet for those of you guys who can take advantage and really understand what is happening and what is coming. What this ends up doing, interestingly enough, it creates a slight divide against the new players and the veteran players who've put thousands and thousands, if not tens of thousands of hours into the game, which brings me to my next point that I want to talk about. Why do people complain about this game? You might have seen plenty of videos. You might have seen plenty of people complaining about it. You might have seen the reactions to all of the complaining, but ultimately most complaints leveraged against Final Fantasy XIV break down as follows. Usually these are coming from vets, longtime players who've put thousands, if not tens of thousands of hours into the game, and now are feeling a lack of motivation, or seeing the same kind of style updates roll out and the lack of any real quote-unquote surprise. This tends to push people to play other games. And this also when they don't want to happen to go and play other games. So it's the friction of them not wanting to play other games, but essentially the game kind of saying it's a good idea to do so. So that's one part. The other part, you see old school MMORPG players, those kind of coming from Final Fantasy XI, aka yours truly, or would be a good example in this case. There really isn't forced multiplayer in Final Fantasy XIV, and they've continued to move into that single player mindset. And people who long for the return of the Sandbox MMO style of the past, 14 really, as some of its zones do actually kind of support that, like Eureka and Bozia. I don't know why I stuttered on Eureka, but there we go. We finally got it. But the whole game is theme park in design. What we're seeing, though, and what's going to be interesting to explore as a discussion topic as time goes on, is we're seeing a lot of sandbox RPGs, MMOs. The wheels are turning, and I'm wondering if we'll see a resurgence of that in the future. But again, like I said, that's going to be for the future. If you guys want to make sure you catch that, be sure to like, sub, and share. Also, comment below what your thoughts are, whether you think Sandbox stands a chance in 2024. We can explore that in the future. What kind of online community is there for this game? There's a wonderful community, but it's also got a dark secret. But we'll talk about it. I would say, like, in the positive area, Mr. Happy, Authors, Xeno, Zeppela, Cole Evix, Gamer Escape, Azurite, Final Fantasy 14, Gaming Kinda, and the list can go on and on and on. I'm sure if you search Final Fantasy 14 and then anything else after that, the YouTubes are going to serve you up with a great set of people that you can start to follow and enjoy. The people that I listed represent a wide range of different personalities. So you might find somebody you like, you might find somebody you don't like. At the end of the day, that is pretty much it. But I did say we have a dark secret, and yes, that is the cult. Now, Final Fantasy 14 is like every other online MMO on social game out there. We have those fanatics that exist. This is not exclusive to Final Fantasy 14, but Final Fantasy 14's cult has a different flavor to it. Generally speaking, if you want to avoid them, you just avoid social media and you'll never hear from them. Your in-game experience is going to be peaceful and loving and generally a very fun time. Toxic doesn't exist in Final Fantasy 14 would be the red flag that I would caution you against. If you find anybody saying that, that should perk up your ears a little bit. Just be careful whenever you see that phrase or, oh, you know, we're a really loving community. We are. That is the vast majority. In fact, the cult in and of itself represents such a small but very vocal piece of the community that you cannot help but feel their wrath from time to time. So I'll leave it up to you guys. Again, if you want to go fanatic and you want to be an avid defender of the game, welcome in. We're glad you're here. If you realize that over 10,000 hours, the game isn't built for maybe you spending 20,000 hours over the course of a handful of years, that's perfectly fine too. Take a break. The game will be here and still moving forward well into the future. So your time and your investment of your time is well worth it. Now, you might ask though, Brian, I'm a heavy gamer. I really like to grind on these games. What do I do after I've cleared all the content? What about content droughts? What do I do to bridge the gap? I guess is perhaps a better way of saying it. Well, we got it. Drama. There's no shortage of drama in the Final Fantasy 14 community. Drama. There is so much to enjoy. Why don't we just cue the drama montage, if you will?
Oh boy.
Fucking type wham.
Phase 2.
Here we go. In the chat.
That's like someone saying Pyromancer's not that bad. He's a fuckhead, right? Right? It's.
No, Pyro. I don't want you to get your shit together. Well, I kind of do. I want you to get your shit together in real life. But if you could keep acting like a clown on social media, that would be really good.
Yeah.
The whole hour, and I've got to pick apart. Oh, well, this is what I really. And then after this, I will probably clip it, and then he's gonna do another hour react, and then I'm gonna have to listen to the next hour. Oh, what the fuck are we doing, dude?
Uh-oh.
And if the drama isn't enough to satisfy you, we also offer drama reacts from the whole community. Even Asmongold will jump in from time to time on these moments and generally usually agrees with the majority of what's being said.
All right, boys, let's see it. Here we go.
Staring at the screen with my character looking off into the sunset.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Upper clearly doing something wrong.
No, I agree. I definitely agree with him. But the truth is, though, he is right. Yeah, that's actually true. This is a very good insight.
So cheers to him and cheers to all of you. And if anybody who's actually reacting to this video specifically, be sure to tell everybody to like, sub, share, and comment on the video. That'd be wonderful in terms of that support, and I appreciate all of y'all for doing that. Why 2024 is going to be the best year for Final Fantasy 14. While Final Fantasy 14 will continue to struggle, longtime fans, again, those 10,000 plus hour gamers, there is so much to be excited for and so much to look forward to in this year alone. I think for me, where I look at my ideal 2024 in Final Fantasy 14 is in two parts. I've stated that I won't return until I finish losing 100 pounds. My current progress is 50 pounds down. So thank you guys so much for that support. Also beyond that though, playing this game as it was designed to be played. Here's the kicker. I don't care. Here's the real thing here though. Dawn Trail as a new saga is going to be the first time kind of stepping into the unknown for the longest time. We've been on this saga train. We've known that we've been heading towards the destination, and the developers had the courage, if not the chutzpah, to truly end the story and the narrative. And that is also perhaps some of the frustration we've seen in the internet world. What's the real hook to carry us into the next chapter or the next saga? What we got was a little bit of a filler between kind of two different stories. Now, when we step into Dawn Trail, it's going to be the first time that we are really on a new saga. We all know it. It's, it's the dawning of a new day. That's going to bring in new mysteries and new, poems from Yoshi P around the New Year's. So much more to be excited about. But I think this is going to be one of the best years for Final Fantasy XIV because of multiple consoles are now supported, because the game is continuing to improve. And honestly, from what we've seen with the tech updates, they're continuing to invest in the engine. The fact that they're adding in multi-dies, as the engineer, the programmer here, has always, been really concerned about the memory management that the game has. And while they're not planning on dropping PS4 this expansion, the fact is that PS4, PS5, Xbox Series X and S are going to support this game. And then as we get into 8.0, we'll see probably the PS4 drop off at that point. But that still is an improvement that they're going to continue to invest in this technology. And hopefully, if anything else, when we look back at this year alone, we're sitting here and pretty daggum happy that we decided to return, that we decided to play, that we decided to start. And I think Final Fantasy XIV is definitely going to be well worth your time. Now, if you guys agree, you can sound off and let me know. If you disagree, you can sound off and let me know as well. Always be sure to double tap that dislike button. It gets stuck from time to time, and that is the surest way to get it unstuck. Or you can always just singly tap the like button, as it's a huge help on the content. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one. But until then, take care.